Here's the question. Do you think that Mike Woodson can survive last night's loss? Stephen A., your thoughts on the coach?
Well, I hope he does because I keep leaning on the 54 wins that he produced last season. I'm a supporter of Mike Woodson's, but today I can't, to be quite honest with you. He messed up big time last night, and I don't know what the repercussions are going to be, Skip Bayless. I mean, when you are a team that's struggling as miserably as the Knicks have been struggling, praying and hoping that Tyson Chandler's going to come back. By the way, if he doesn't come back tomorrow night, they're saying that he may be back Saturday. The fact of the matter is that if you're Mike Woodson, you drop the ball. But if you're those experienced players on his roster, you drop the ball as well. You missed free throws if you're Bino Utrich. You sat there and got blown by Bradley Beal. By the way, Andrea Bugnani was supposed to provide defensive help. He didn't do so. He got pulled 15 feet away from the basket and provided no assistance whatsoever. The New York Knicks had a foul to give. They didn't utilize that. Then, by the way, Bino Utrich, because he was upset that Andrea Bugnani didn't cover for him, Skip, what does he do? Yep. With about 6 seconds left, and you're down by 1 point with no timeout having been called by Mike Woodson, which, by the way, is inexcusable, which Mike Woodson owned up to. You're busy arguing with Andrea Bugnani because he missed the defensive assignment, and Melo's calling for the ball. Well, what does Melo do? Melo gets the ball, but he's lollygagging up the court with 6 seconds left because he's saying that he's anticipating a double team was going to come, but it never came. And so ultimately, he goes up there and he launches an off balance, Hail Mary, and it doesn't work out. But by the way, you don't need Mike Woodson, even though he should have called the timeout, and it ultimately is on the coach. You've got Bino Utrich, who's been in this league long enough. You've got Andrea Bugnani, who's been in this league long enough. You have a star in Carmelo Anthony, who's in his 10th season. And not one single person on the floor thought enough to call a timeout. I hate to say this, but that's about the coach because you can't make that mistake. So I hope that this is just one error that we're able to gloss over and move beyond. But considering the heat that he's been taking in the city, the unpredictability of James Dolan, the owner, okay, we don't know what's going to happen right now because I'm telling you right now, from everything that I've seen and everything that I've heard, they've been looking for an excuse practically to get rid of Mike Woodson. And if it's not going to happen now, in all likelihood, there's a better than 75% chance he'll be gone at the end of the season. So I'm just looking at it right now and I'm saying, I can't sit here and say that he's not in trouble. He appears to be in a world of trouble. And last night is the first time I ever saw that happen on Mike Woodson's watch. But there were a bevy of errors from a coaching standpoint within a span of just a few minutes. And it's just unfortunate right now because sometimes your veteran players bail out a coach from time to time with their sublime play or their cerebral approach to the game, making sure they don't make those mental errors. And he got no help. He had absolutely no help from his veterans yesterday. So it just basically hung him out to dry, and that's where we are right now. The New York Knicks are a mess. You remember that movie, The Campaign, with your man Will Ferrell, all right, and Galifianakis? You understand what I'm saying? We're bringing our brooms because it's a mess. That's the Knicks. It's the Knicks right now. It just is.
Okay. If I step back, and I'm not a Knicks fan, you are. I look at what happened last night in the last 24 seconds as not fireable offenses. I don't take them that seriously in and of themselves, in a vacuum. But I do agree with your point that in the big picture, last night could serve as just the excuse that the Knicks need, that James Dolan needs to fire Mike Woodson. So if I'm Stephen A. Smith right now, I'm on watch because this could go down anytime. But if I can say in the big picture, Stephen A., remember, Raymond Felton is hurt. So you don't have your point guard. You don't have your backup point guard, Prigioni, who just got hurt and is gone for a couple of weeks. So you're down to Bino Udrih, age 31's, bounced around the league, started with the Spurs. And yet Woodson and staff told them in the final timeout, we have a foul to give, use the foul to give. And I don't know if you can argue that they've just tuned Mike Woodson out or that you don't have a point guard you can trust, because Bano had to play 30 minutes last night, most he's probably played in 5 years. And in the end, there's no way he can guard Bradley Beal. And yet, you're right, Bano gets blown by. He looks for Bargnani, and then he has to argue with Bargnani while the clock is ticking 5, 4, 3, and it's just a disaster. Mike Woodson should have jumped up and called timeout. Somebody on the floor should have called timeout. They're just a team of losers right now without their center, without Tyson Chandler. I think it would only be fair to wait to judge Mike Woodson with Tyson Chandler, with Raymond Felton, and go from there.
Well, Skip, for me personally, I totally agree with you on that. I'm not an advocate of Mike Woodson being let go. I think you get Tyson Chandler back. I think you give him a healthy squad, and I think you see what they do. Look at what the Nets are doing now that they got Darren Williams back. Look at the way that they're playing. Look at the basketball games that they're winning in Brooklyn these days. I think you get Tyson Chandler back. All right, you have your anchor on your front line. You're talking about Bargnani and Melo being paired with him on the front line. Amari Stoudemire suddenly looks better and healthier. J.R. Smith got out of his slump. And, oh, by the way, while I'm down here in Miami because Tim Hardaway works for the Miami Heat, let me make sure to give props to his son who deserves it. Tim Hardaway Jr. is playing well, and he should be receiving more playing time, especially now that Pablo Prigioni is out for at least 2 weeks with the messed up toe. I definitely am looking forward to Hardaway Jr. getting even more minutes because this kid is playing well, and he needs to be seeing more playing time on the court.